أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم ينفعنا بما علمتنا والذي ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا كريم يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah ta'ala, everyone's doing well. Alhamdulillah, we're excited for the month of Ramadan that's starting hopefully soon, a couple of weeks I should say. And this may be something that's different that we probably have never done before, is actually take a Ramadan prep course. It's like, what is that about? I didn't know you could prepare for Ramadan. Yeah, just like anything else, you take a prep course for your SATs, your MCATs, your GREs, everything else, right? Because that's a test, you want to pass it. So Ramadan's the same exact thing. It's a test, you want to pass it. And you're going to see some hadith, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go over tonight, or today, this morning. That shows you how tired I am already. That you see that inshallah ta'ala, the more you prepare for it mentally, the better you're going to do it for anything, right? And so we see a lot of times we go into Ramadan, and we've been to like 100 Ramadans before, and so you just enter it, and so sometimes like it takes a week or so you finally get into the, the rhythm of Taraweeh and other things. So the more you prepare for it, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully, you benefit for it. You benefit for it. One thing the scholars said about knowledge, they said, knowledge la ya'ti walakin yu'ti. Knowledge does not come to you, but is given to you. And so it's all about preparation for that. And Ramadan is a case of knowledge, right? Of you learning, of you, inshallah, getting reward, of being saved from the hellfire, inshallah ta'ala, which we're going to be going over today. And that's one of the things, like even for the class, you come to class, whatever class you go to, with even though it's a class, not salah, but you make wudu, you might put some good scent on, for example, right? All that's like preparation for the knowledge. And same thing for Ramadan, the more you prepare for it, inshallah ta'ala, the more that you'll benefit for it. So inshallah, today's session, we have 3 sessions. We're going to go over hadith about Ramadan. And from this hadith, we're going to extract how we can prepare for it, inshallah, how we can plan for it. And then next week, we'll be on the fiqh rulings of Ramadan, everything from moon sighting, for why is Taraweeh 8, why is it 20, is it 8 or is it 20, why is there the difference of it? We'll go over inshallah like the different narrations and why people had different opinions, and also what breaks your fast. Can you taste food while you're cooking in Ramadan? How about if you accidentally swallow something? All those different type of things. Inhalers, medications, all those things inshallah ta'ala we'll go over, and inshallah hopefully it answers any questions that you might have, and hopefully that gives you like a nice idea of what to expect or what answer that you might have for certain situations. And then the last session we'll have is basically what we call ulum al-Quran, sciences of the Quran, and that is a 3rd session where we'll just do a really brief introduction to the sciences of the Quran, about why the Quran chapters, where did they get their chapters named from, how is it compiled, how is it divided up, different aspects about that, why there are different qira'at of the Quran, different recitations of the Quran. If some of you guys have heard different recitations of the Quran, from Warsh and from Hafs and Asim and so forth like this, some of these names you might be familiar with. I'll go over that a little bit also. I do that course usually in a 10-week course, so it's going to be a summarized, only an hour and a half that we could go over. So inshallah, hopefully that will inspire you to maybe learn more. And then in Ramadan, we'll do the tafsir, inshallah ta'ala, of Surah Rahman. That will start in the first week in Ramadan. We'll move from there. I don't know if we'll finish in Ramadan. I usually take it's usually a 12-week course I've done before. So we'll see if we'll get 4 weeks in Ramadan. Is usually not enough. And I'll go down every verse, and I'll go over the different Arabic points in the Quran, also in that surah. And then inshallah ta'ala, we'll see if we can finish in Ramadan. If we can't, then we'll continue afterwards. So, sounds good? Everyone ready? Buckled up? Here we go, inshallah ta'ala. For the first hadith. The first hadith we have is a very popular hadith, but sometimes we don't get the meaning of it, or it hasn't been really explained to us. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So it's on a hadith that's mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, on أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا جاء رمضان ففتحت أبواب الجنة وغلقت أبواب النار وصدفت الشياطين. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu mentioned that when Ramadan enters, the gates of paradise are open The gates of hellfire are closed and the devils are chained up. Okay? And like I said, I think it's a hadith that everyone probably heard before. But you might have a lot of questions sometimes exactly what does that actually mean? So that's what we're going to go over. And the first thing that we really want to talk about, it's significant to talk about the doors of Jannah is open and the hellfire is closed. And what does that mean? Sometimes you hear people say that when someone dies in Ramadan or passes away in Ramadan, they go to Jannah. Have you heard that before? Right? That's like, maybe that's a Desi thing, or maybe that's in other Arab cultures also. So where does that come from? Right? Some take it from this hadith that the doors of Jannah is open. Therefore, when you die, you go straight in. You slide right in, I guess, you know? You just like, alhamdulillah, someone left the door open, right? And the gates of hell are closed, right? So what does that mean? So inshallah, we're going to go over some of that. And what does it mean that the devils are chained? Okay? And who are the devils? What is that? What does that entail also? So let's go over a couple opinions here. Number one, there's multiple meanings in terms of the scholars have talked about what the devils are chained. First of all, what is a shaitan? What is shaitan? You guys are joking here, right?
Who he is.
Who is he or what is he? There you go. Who is he?
Animal.
He's an animal?
Enemy.
Oh, enemy. Okay, good. Good.
Evil jinn.
Evil jinn. Okay. Iblis, right? Iblis somewhere? Okay. So shaitan is a term that is, that door's locked. So shaitan is the title. Let everyone settle first before we go. So shaitan is the title for Iblis. Okay. Who is Iblis? You guys should know Iblis, right? So Iblis is the jinn who didn't prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, right? And so since he didn't prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, Allah called him shaitan, right? From the word shaitana, what could mean that is like someone who's rejected, if you will. And that's where the word shaitan kind of comes from. Okay, because he was rejected, he was kicked out of Jannah, so he got this title. So when we talk about shaitan, we're talking about that person, not really person, but that jinn explicitly. And what is a jinn? Right? Jinn is not a human, it's not an angel, it's made from smokeless fire, right? But we can't really see them, they're in a different realm, but they're here, they could be here, and there could be good jinns, Muslim jinns, and there could be bad jinns, right? Evil jinns. And then there could be disbelieving jinns. Maybe they don't want bad, but they just don't believe. Like, just how humans are. They're pretty much almost like that, the same type of categories, right? There's really bad people that want to harm people and steal and do all the things. And there's some people who just are not Muslim, but they just want to live their life, right? And then there's people who are Muslim that want to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jinns are the same thing. So sometimes when we talk about jinns, we shouldn't say like, our jinns are evil and they're terrible. Only a section of them are, if you will, not just all of them, right? We have some incidents in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ where the Prophet ﷺ actually gave da'wah to jinns and jinns became Muslim. Or you have a surah in the Quran called Jinn, right? And it talks about sort of jinn where they actually heard the Quran and said, what is this like amazing recitation? And they followed that recitation and they became Muslim. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that everyone has a jinn with them, right? That kind of follows them, right? It could be whispering for you to do bad. And then Aisha, anha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, she's a very clever individual, and she said, oh Prophet of Allah, do you have like a shaitan? Do you have an evil jinn with you? So like, yes, but I made mine Muslim. Mine converted because of the da'wah and the great characteristic of the Prophet ﷺ. That's great. Inshallah ta'ala, we could work on our jinns, right? But not like you go and try to talk to your jinn. Oh jinn, leave me alone. Don't have to go talk to jinns and stuff like that. Don't worry about that. I know everyone likes jinn stories. We're not going to go into jinn stories. We're just going to put it to the side right now. So what is shayateen? Shayateen is the plural of the word shaitan. So is there more than one shaitan? Yes? Anyone else want to take another opinion on that one?
Yes.
Okay, explain to me how there are more than one shaitan. We said who is shaitan? Iblis. So there's multiple Iblises. Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you. Right. So shayateen is shaitan's, his thugs, if you will, his gang members. Okay, for the youth like these type of terms, right? Make them feel good, right? His bad guys, if you will. So shayateen are the evil jinns, okay, that want to do bad and so forth. So here, the Prophet says in this hadith that sudifat shayateen, that the shayateen are chained up. Okay, so let's go to a couple opinions here. So the first opinion is saying that the shayateen, what that really means that they're chained up is not that they're physically chained up, but that they cannot entice a Muslim to disobedience because those individuals whom are busying themselves with fasting. Okay, because you're fasting, because you're reading Quran, because you're making dhikr, because you're going to Taraweeh, because you're X, Y, and Z, these shayateen cannot get to you anymore. Because you're doing so much good khairat, so much good deeds, that is like they're almost ineffective in terms of their whispering. So here the first opinion is what? Metaphorically. That they're chained up. They're not really chained up, if you will, right? Which means that by suppressing their desires, but for us when we're fasting, right, we're suppressing our desires, right? And so from the reading Quran and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the evil jinns, right, shayateen, temptations and seducements are decreased. So they cannot as if they were chained up. So that's what the first opinion is. Right? Ibn Hajar rahimahullah in his commentary on this hadith mentions this as one of the first opinions. And it's also supported by another narration. I think I have it there. Do I have it there? No, I don't. Supported by another narration that said the gates of paradise are open. So when the Prophet said the gates of paradise are open, does it mean that the gates are physically open? Remember I told you that when people think when they pass away they go straight to Jannah, right? What that means, that's once again, that's symbolic. I mean, the gates of paradise are open, meaning that there's so many different opportunities to get into paradise. You understand? By you fasting, by you going to Taraweeh, the Tahajjud, the Qiyam al-Layl program, the reading Quran, etc., etc., etc. That's what it means by the gates of Jannah is open. I mean that there's gates of Jannah that if you do these acts, you'll get into Jannah. That's what it means, if you will. So it doesn't really literally mean that the gates are open. Okay, you understand that? Everyone that makes sense there? All right? So that's the first opinion. So the first opinion is what? It's more metaphorically, right? That the jinns can I get to you? They're still around. They're not physically, they're still all around in Ramadan. But just because of you doing so much good, you're able to kind of push them aside, if you will. So they don't affect you. The second meaning here is that some of the jinns, which are the violent, fierce jinns, are actually chained up. What do you mean violent, fierce jinns? Well, that comes from another narration that I put there, where in a narration in Tirmidhi and also in Nasa'i, there's two different narrations here, that the Prophet ﷺ added an extra word. So the thing is that anytime you study hadith, you always want to see, like, you get a hadith, and you want to see if there's another hadith that's narrated with similar wording, and maybe another one. Maybe Tirmidhi has this, and Imam Muslim has this, and Abu Dawood has this in another narration, and there might be an extra word that's added, or if you will. And that's because maybe a Sahaba heard something more than another Sahaba, and so forth. So there's other narrations where the Prophet ﷺ says that the marada jinns are chained up. What is a marada? Marada jinns are the ones that are like really, really really, really bad ones, if you will. Right? The really fierce, violent ones, that's what the best narration, that's the best translation I can give you. Right? So from this meaning is that those jinns are chained up. Or those shayateen, those really bad ones are chained up, but other ones are still floating around, if you will. They're still out there whispering to you to do wrong. Okay? So that's one of the meanings there. And then the third meaning is that some of the scholars say, you know what, we shouldn't try to interpret more, we should just say that the Prophet said this, that the third opinion is that literally all the jinns, every single one of them are chained up. So you have three opinions. Number one is metaphoric, that they're not chained up. You just have a lot of good acts, so therefore you push them away by your good acts. Number two, the violent ones are chained up. And number three, all of them are chained up. Okay, everyone got that down? That's how the scholars have interpreted this hadith. So my question to you is now, let's go with the third one, is that The scholars said, how can we see evil and disobedience in the month of Ramadan? You ever see evil in Ramadan? Do people still do bad in Ramadan?
Yeah.
So hold on. So we don't. So the jinns are either locked up, all of them, or just the evil ones are locked up, or because we have so much good deeds, we end up pushing them away, right? So how is it that we still see people killing and fighting, and sometimes arguments at the masjid, right? Air conditioned, it's too cold. Turn off the lights. Don't turn off the lights. Right? People argue with the simplest things in Ramadan. It's kind of interesting, right? Why do we still see that for them? Why is there still bad that goes on in Ramadan?
Because it's coming from the person itself, not from the jinn.
Very good, right? So it's coming from the person itself and not from the jinn. Okay, anyone else want to add to that? Or with another opinion, if you will?
Actually, the probability of doing bad things goes down. It's not eliminated, but it goes down.
It goes down, definitely, right? That's kind of like the first opinion a little bit, right? Yeah, it's true. We still see it, though.
They might not be keeping themselves busy with good deeds.
Not because they're doing that, so that's why the people end up falling and doing evil, right? Very good, right? So because they're not doing good deeds, what happens? The shaitan or the shayateen ends up, what? Still whispering to them and they listen to them. Kind of, that's what you're kind of saying, right? No? Did I put words in your mouth? Yes. So what do you mean by that they're not doing good deeds then? Why are they?
Because like the first one, like they don't get to them if they don't do.
Okay, kind of, yeah, exactly kind of what I'm saying. Okay, good, right? Because they're doing good deeds, that's why they fall into sin and so forth, right? So Imam Qurtubi, rahimahullah, mentions something really interesting here, that he says that exactly kind of Brother Muazzam says that this occurs because of the evil and bad customs and traits of a person. That naturally, that's how that person is, right? And so Ramadan's a great test of showing you who you really are. That if you're arguing and you still have whatever, bad language, and you can't give up your music, and you can't give up these type of things, right? In Ramadan, guess what? Allah is trying to show you that this is what your true self is. This is like a mirror of yourself that maybe you didn't think of. So maybe guess what? You need to work on yourself, right? And so if you find yourself doing this, and you really have to ask yourself, hold on, is this really who I am? Am I still arguing with my spouse? Am I still yelling at my kids? Or am I still listening to this music? I still have this whatever. I still have this anger problem, right? Maybe I'm not as patient as I thought I was. So it really tells you what your own soul is, of your habits and the traits that you have, right? So this is a great way to look at have some self-reflection and see, inshallah ta'ala, that maybe I need to work on myself, right? So this is something that, inshallah ta'ala, we all could kind of work on when this does happen in Ramadan, is to see exactly this is what my soul is and how can I fix that. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eliminates the excuse of you saying that the shaitan did this to me, or the shaitan whispered this to me. You can't do that in Ramadan, right? So you can just say, you know what, that is for myself. That's pretty much the lesson we're trying to make here, is that you have to say, you know what, this is for me. I have no excuses. I can't blame this on anyone else. This is just myself, if you will, right? So that's one thing that we learned there. So that's the first hadith, inshallah. Some of these hadiths we're going to go a little bit faster. It's not like the previous hadith class we went in more in depth, because I have about 8 hadith, inshallah, I want to go over today. The next hadith that we have is, any questions on the first hadith? We're good?
I had a question, Chef.
Yeah.
So not on the hadith itself, but on the signs of what you said about Prophet Muhammad having a conversation, he made his jinn.
Yeah.
Was that metaphorical, or is there any other reference where he used to talk to the jinnat? Or?
Well, the other ones where he talked to the jinn were were not his own personal jinn. It was like he was walking through a desert, coming back from Taif. It was like a story we went to Taif, and so he was reciting, and then the jinns came, right? And there's some other hadith where he went out and he spoke to jinn, a group of jinn. That's not really talking about his own personal one. So his own personal one, he did, like he told Aisha that one became Muslim, right? Because of his great character. And sometimes it's like a jinn will kind of give up on you. Maybe shaitan would, right? Maybe Iblis, right? Because all the whispering doesn't affect you. Because this person, he doesn't want to go on those websites. He doesn't want to use bad language. He doesn't want to raise his voice. So that jinn kind of just submits and he won't. I give up on this guy or this girl, right? And so, but you have to get to that state where, it's kind of like, you might have a good friend or something, or maybe a spouse that they never get mad, a family member that never gets mad, like whatever you do, like this person is like amazing, right? And so you give up like, trying to like yell at them or whatever it might be, it's because you see that their character almost like it affects you, right? And so that's basically what the Prophet was kind of saying. His character affected his jinn so much, where they actually became better. And we all wish our spouses were like that, right? So there's something, right?
What does stand mean? Was he using that as a joke in the response to?
No, it's literal. It's literal. Like, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that all of us have angels that follow us, right? One in front of us, one behind us, and it protects us, right? But all of us have jinn. That's why it says when you enter your house, you should say what? Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, and
You say assalamu alaikum, someone
exactly.
you should say what before you enter your house?
Bismillah.
Bismillah, right? And before you eat, you say what? Right. Why is that for? Always to be grateful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it mentions in another hadith that when we say Bismillah before you enter your house, that evil jinn can't enter. So he has to stay outside the whole time. So that's why it says some jinns look raggedy, because they're all cold, not like a metaphor, cold, and they don't have housing, and they don't eat. Because you keep on saying Bismillah before you eat, so then he gets no food. But when you don't say Bismillah, then that evil jinn eats also. It's like you're supporting him, right? So that's all there. The things like we don't understand, we're people of faith. We believe these other realm that what we see in front of us, right? We mentioned that before, right? There's other things that are here that we cannot see. We believe in that, right? That's what makes us Muslim as part of our aqidah, that we believe in angels and, and so forth, right? So this is the reason why. So that's what when the Prophet was telling Aisha radiallahu anha that it wasn't a joke, that was like literal, if you will, right? And so that's why it says that when you get angry, the jinn, these evil jinns kind of take over you because what? You're vulnerable. Because now you're forgetting Quran and Hadith, now you're just about my ego and me trying to put my opinion on that other person. And that's why it says that when you're angry, better that you go make wudu to calm yourself down, to sit down, to say A'udhu billahi min shaytanir rajim. Why did the Prophet say that? Say when you're angry, say A'udhu billahi min shaytanir rajim. Is it because you're going to recite Quran? No. Right? We all know that before you recite Quran, you should say A'udhu billahi min shaytanir rajim. But why is it to push that jinn away? To try to enticing you, like, yeah, argue, push your voice louder, that person's wrong, all that type of stuff, if you will. So it's kind of a self-controlling method, if you will. Questions, comments? Go ahead, Sister.
I have a question about when you mentioned when we started the violent jinn. What is this like?
It's called marada. Yeah, so the Prophet mentioned that, the marada jinns. Mim, ra, da, tar, mabuta. So these are like the really evil ones, if you will, right? So these
different types of jinns.
yeah, exactly. So there's some jinns they said are like the ones that are in the sky that are trying to steal the revelation of the Quran that was coming down. And so they're like those type of jinns. And there's like different categories. There's some that fly with that they fly like in a blink of an eye. And these are the jinns, if you read in the Quran, the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam, where he sent his jinn to go get the throne of the Queen Sheba, right? And they brought it back like that, right? And the jinn told Sulaiman, I could do this. Watch, I'll do my other jinns. I can do this as fast as anyone else. So there's some jinns that do that. There's some jinns that don't fly. And there's some jinns that have different type of abilities and stuff like this, right? So that brings in a little bit more of a discussion about jinns and so forth. I always say, like, just the less we talk about jinns, the better. Because people want to find out more about them. How can I talk to jinns? And then curiosity killed the cat, And it kills humans too. And people want to do all kind of weird stuff and talk about the spiritual world, and that's why we don't want to, and so entice our youth to get into those type of activities, Ouija boards and stuff like this. You can buy a Ouija board at Target, you know that? It's really weird. Target actually sells it. So interesting stuff. But anyhow, so yeah. So I mean, this type of so that's kind of there is different type of jinns to answer your question. Play you. Hadith number 2, right? Another hadith on Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كل عمل ابن آدم يضاعف حسناته 10 أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف وقال الله عز وجل إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به يدعو شهوته وطعامه من أجل للصائم فَفَرْحَتَانِ فرحة عند فطرته وفرة عند لقاء ربه لخلوف فيه أطيب عند الله من ريح المسك. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that every good deed of the son of Adam, me and you, is multiplied, and a good deed receives 10 to 700 fold. We went over this in the hadith class a couple of weeks ago. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the exalted, the majestic, has said, with the exception of fasting. So fasting doesn't fall in this category, right? So what is it? So what category does it fall into? So the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is done for me, and I will give a reward for it. So obviously his reward has to be over 700. Okay? So very, very special, right? For one, why? Because a person abandons his passion, his desires, right? And food for my sake. There are two occasions of joy, one who fasts. The joy when he breaks it, and the joy when he meets his Lord. And the breath of a person who fasts is sweeter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the fragrance of musk. Right? For example. Right? So there's a couple things here. Number one is the great reward of fasting. Right? Is this something you don't take for granted? Ramadan comes, fasting is like easy, we've done it so many times, and blah, 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 right? The thing is that when you're fasting, you should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reward me, and benefit me, and accept this fast from me, and reward me in abundance, right? Not just the regular, 10 to 700 times, but greater, if you will. So you should have that as an intention when you fast every morning when you wake up. I always like to say that, maybe it's not a sunnah, is that before you start your fast is to make a dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this effort from you and to multiply multiple times, right? And this is a good habit. This is like, I'm not saying this is like a bid'ah, you mean I'm innovating something here, but this is on a spiritual level, that you should do that, right? And it's a good reminder for yourself while you're doing it, because fasting becomes something that's like routine. After the second week or the first week or something, it's like you wake up, you eat, you go back to sleep, you pray Fajr first before you go back to sleep, right? And then you do it the next day, and the next day, it's like, okay, whatever, And it becomes something very routine. So something that gets so much reward because it becomes something that you kind of forget the purpose of. Right? And so that's what I'm going to go over next week about intentions. You need to make an intention for Ramadan at the beginning of the month or every day, and the difference of the opinions of the scholars on that. But this is something you should remind yourself for. So that's the first thing that you can take from this hadith here. Second thing is that the joys of fasting. So let's go to that. So here, the first one here is that the Prophet says that the fasting of a person, he celebrates when he breaks his fast. And the second one, when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let me ask you this. Why does a person celebrate on the occasion when he breaks his fast? I heard like a voice from way in the back. What was that?
Oh, so you can eat? Like, when you can eat now? So
Because he eats, right?
yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God, I can eat him. Food. That's why I'm celebrating. Like, Cookie Monster, right? Okay, well, anyone else have another opinion on that?
You're happy that you fulfilled another mandate.
There you go. That's actually what the Prophet was trying to say. You're not celebrating. That's like what American society will teach you. Like, yes, you get to eat, right? Now it's like lunch break at work or something, right? No, even though that's the first thing that comes in your head. I get to eat, that's why I'm celebrating. And everyone kind of celebrates because of that, that's true, right? Everyone's counting down the clock on the wall, and this clock is slower than that clock, so you go to the one that's faster, and then, but when you're starting your fast, you go by the slower one, right? People are really funny. It's crazy. And you have people in their household, one goes by this clock, the kid goes by this clock. It's just really funny stuff. So anyhow, so here is that the real reason that the scholars have mentioned is that you are celebrating that, alhamdulillah, I was able to complete this ibadah, right? That's why you're celebrating for. Like, alhamdulillah, Allah made it for me to make it to, 7:45 or something, and I finally, alhamdulillah, I didn't die beforehand, I didn't break it, I didn't do anything that, did anything that would corrupted my fast. And so there's things that corrupt your fast, which we'll go over about a little bit next week, but we'll mention some things here, where the Prophet ﷺ said that in another hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of a person who fasts who doesn't give up what? False speech, right? And obscene behavior, right? And even the Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, kind of goes a little bit extreme where he says that if somebody doesn't give up lying in Ramadan, then their fasting is broken, even though you didn't eat anything. Right? He was a little bit hardcore. If that's the case, and obscene behavior, that means like if you get up and you get really angry and you get like, that actually breaks your fast. Like you're done. Just, you have to make up that day, right? But none of the scholars took that opinion legally, fiqh-wise. But more on a spiritual level, you should be, you should be conscious of that. So the reason why that person celebrates once again was because that they had completed their fast without any ruining factors, right? And also that they want the great reward of it, right? And why does a person celebrate when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? For what? From seeing the recompense of that reward that they're going to get. Like that fast got me whatever, thousands of hasanat or whatever it may be, right? That's why they're celebrating. Let's go back to this one. And so here, back in the hadith really quick, going back to the last part of it, where the Prophet says that the breath of a person who fasts is sweeter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the fragrance of musk. Why do you think the Prophet mentioned that for? Why is that so important for?
Because people are insecure about their breath.
Very much so, right? We all know when we're fasting, it's like, oh my God, I got a job interview, this and whatever. And that's something that seems really bad. No, that's good. People should care about their breath, right? But here, the Prophet knows about this, that people are like, this is an issue. So he'd give you a reassurance that, guess what? This is something that Allah actually loves, right? And some scholars even went to the point where they said that you shouldn't even, shouldn't use like miswak or brush your teeth while you're fasting. Why? Because what? It's going to take away that smell of it. Which people have difference of opinion of it. It's like, as Muslims, we don't want to have bad breath. It's not like we're promoting bad breathness, if you will. Like, yes, the more stinkier your breath is, the better Muslim you are. That's not really what we want to do. Like, we're against it. That's not the character of a Muslim. But at least while you're fasting, we know that you really, there's a difference of opinion of like, not there's a difference of opinion that you could, brush your teeth while you're fasting, just don't swallow it and stuff like this. We all know that. But they said actually while you're fasting is not to use that until you break your fast, right? Because this is something Allah loves, and you're taking away something what Allah loves, right? And so that's another thing why you do it. And so he said it's sweeter to Allah than the fragrance of musk. So some of the scholars mentioned here that actually when you're fasting, that your breath gives away a smell of musk. That's not apparent to me and you, but it's apparent to who? The malaika, the angels. And so they surround the people who are fasting. They could actually smell that. And that's how they kind of know who's fasting, who's not fasting, right? You can't pick an angel out by having bad breath and you're not fasting, just to let you guys know. If you guys, there's some smart ones in the crowd here, right? But this is something that kind of, how do we understand that? That's sweeter to Allah, it's more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the smell of musk. Which tells you something else also indirectly, that Allah loves what? Good smell, right? So therefore you should wear this as much as you can, right? And more for the men, if there's issues for women of not wearing perfume so much and to attract the opposite gender, to wear maybe in your house and stuff like that. And that we could talk about too. At least for the brothers, that definitely you should do it. And also that it's sunnah to put on good smell when? Jummah. Why for Jummah?
Because it's a gathering.
That's the reason. Because of any time there's a gathering where you can be around people, so you don't smell stinky winky, right? Is to wear that, if you will. So Jummah, what's another big gathering? Eid, right? Like and they said they open to anything else. Whether that's a wedding, that's a aqiqah that you're going to, whatever it means, that you should do it, right? And we all know that maybe it doesn't happen here too much in America where you actually go to the masjid and the guy next to you is like killing you or something, right? But not to say anything bad about Egypt, but it was like it's also like a lot hotter. I would say a lot hotter over there. But sometimes you go in there and people are just coming from work and people on the street and workers and stuff. And so you could definitely, I've been affected by that, And so you could definitely see the wisdom behind that. And especially trying to have concentration in your salah. And someone with bad breath, or bad body odor definitely could affect that. So definitely when you go to Taraweeh, take that into consideration for the brothers, definitely. The sisters also. And also the smell of your mouth. We all know that the belching in Ramadan Taraweeh lines, right? That's like That's an issue too, right? So this type of things, you could, if you're distracting somebody from praying, that's like one of the, I would say the ultimate sin, but that is like something that's really, really bad. Right? So just take that in consideration also. It's more of a little side note, if you will. Right? So these are a couple things we can take from this hadith here, is why you should be celebrating at the end of when you break your fast, about the reward in the hereafter for this, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply that, and also just, you know, in terms of the breath factor also. That's a couple points we can take from the hadith. Next hadith that we have. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, which is a part of a hadith here, that's why I put those 3 dots in before that, for the Arabic there. As-siyamu jundatun. فإذا كان يوم الصوم أحدكم فلا يرفض يومئذ ولا يسخب فإن سابه أحد قاتله فيقول إن امرئ صائم. Abu Hurairah reported that the Prophet said, fasting is a shield. When any of you is fasting on a day, you should neither indulge in obscene language, rafatha, nor raise the voice. And if anyone reviles you and he tries to argue with you, tries to get you angry, or tries to quarrel with you with his argument with him, he should say that I'm a fasting person, or I'm fasting. In another hadith, you should say I'm fasting twice. To another hadith, and that's mentioned in extra wording, if you will. Right? So first of all, the Prophet said that fasting is a shield. What do you mean a shield? What do you think? How is fasting a shield? Fasting is not something that's physical. So here the Prophet is trying to make it as if it's something that's physical. Obviously it means in a metaphorical sense. So how can fasting be a shield? What do you think? What is the Prophet alluding to here?
Protection.
How? Your bad breath scaring people off?
It's like less physical because like fasting is not really something that you'd be holding off trying to get like protecting you from like bad breath, but then I guess it'd be kind of like character in general.
So it's a defense against obscenity, right, or sinful acts, right? That you know that you're fasting. I shouldn't be stealing. Right? I shouldn't be watching these type of shows. I shouldn't be like going to the club dancing, right? I shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. So it kind of checks you, if you will. Okay. What else did they say? Do you have something?
It will always be mindful.
Keeps you mindful, kind of. Okay. Yeah, good. Kind of what for the stuff we said. Right. One thing also they said that it's a shield from the fire of Jahannam. That this will be one of your protection. And another hadith is mentioned that when you're in the grave and punishment comes to you, fasting will come and protect you from one of the sides. So it says that your salah will come and protect you from one side, your fasting will come and protect you from another side, right? And your sadaqat will protect you, and your good deeds will protect you from the punishment of the grave. So as if they're going to be physical in the grave, but they actually will come as if like a real wall, if you will, or a shield, if you will, right? So that's what some of the scholars have mentioned, that fasting is a shield, meaning it's a screen of defense against obscenity and sinful acts, and a protection against the fire of Jahannam. Right? So what's the word here that in the hadith they mentioned, rafatha? What does rafatha mean? Right? Yarfuth. It means that it's not to act in an absurd manner, right? And to utter obscene and vulgar words, right? And meaning that not to act or speak in a way that's opposite of wisdom and the truth. And this is interesting because when you're fasting, you're more irritated, like easily, right? And it's easy for you to get angry because your stomach's grumbling, right? And you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody, So here is that it's saying that no, when you're fasting, you shouldn't do this, right? Even though that you might, when you're fasting, this happens to you, right? But you shouldn't involve yourself in any of these acts. So here, when the Prophet said that you neither should involve in any of these acts, some of the scholars, like Imam Ghazali rahimahullah mentioned, that this was something that will break your fast. And I already went to that opinion. I told you that none of the scholars of fiqh took that opinion in terms of making a legal way that your fasting is broken. But here, from the wording of the hadith here, that you shouldn't be acting like this at all. And so really we're talking about planning for Ramadan, is to catch yourself while if you're fasting, and if you get angry, then here, what does the Prophet mention here that you should say? I'm fasting. Now here, the question is that, who do you say that to? Interesting, right? A lot of people read this hadith and they think that they should see it, say it to the other person. Like, hey, I'm fasting. You think that person really cares? Right? So either if they're Muslim, they understand, or maybe if they're non-Muslim, they might say like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I won't argue with you. That's true. That's one way. But some of the scholars that say that either number one, you say it audibly to the other person, or number two, you say it into yourself. I'm fasting. To remind yourself not to retaliate and insult the other person back. And he said this to me, so I'm going to, use obscene and vulgar language back at him, if you will, right? And so that's actually what it's actually saying, that you need to remind yourself, if you will, while you're fasting, like, hey, I'm fasting, I shouldn't be doing that, right? And so that's something that you should remind yourself to do, and that's like a kind of defense mechanism to protect your fast, right? And we're going to see how important it is to protect your fasting. Because here we said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you for your fasting. But that's all depending on how that quality of that fasting was, right? Because people could fast, and we all know, could backbite at the same time, could say things about family members, could say things about people's food, about the masjid and everything else, right? And so what do you think, is that fasting the same as a person who keeps good language and doesn't backbite and doesn't, keeps quiet? No, it's like two different worlds, right? So that's something you should really think about. You're going to see how that's going to come up really important in another hadith we're going to mention, inshallah ta'ala, in a little bit here. And also, la yaskhab, right? The Prophet said, do not mockery, do not ridicule others through speech or action, right? And that's like a general ruling in general, right? And it's without you fasting, but that's something just to mention also. Here, why not argue and why not debate while you're fasting? I think I'm going to be a simple answer.
You get angry easily.
Because normally when you have food in your stomach and you argue, we all know what happens, right? It can still get ugly and your voice still gets loud. So imagine when you are hungry and you're tired, etc. It's going to go up to the 9th degree, if you will, right? So here, that's why you just like walk away, or just, tell yourself I'm fasting, or just put your head down, or go into the next room, close the door, and protect your fast. You don't want to ruin that at all. Like, let the person win. That's why some of the other hadith mentioned that the best person that when you're arguing is that when you know you're right, but you stay quiet. It's because you don't want to win your opinion. Just to keep that relationship with that person and not to ruin your character, right? Even though you know you're right, is to still stay quiet. That's hard, because nobody wants to do that. Me and you, all of us want to win the argument and prove that we're better, and yes, I know better than you, etc., right? That's true. A thought of ego involved in that, and we all do that. This is natural for a human, right? But here is that Prophet said that, just to try to preserve this fasting, because it's such a sacred thing that you're doing, right? It's such a great reward. You don't want to ruin it any which way possible, right? Good. So that's the next one there. Questions, comments on that one? I did this slide twice. That's weird. Okay. So next hadith that we have is on Ramadan we mentioned here. The Prophet says that whoever, and put the Arabic there, whoever stands in the voluntary night prayer of Ramadan out of faith and hope and reward, his previous sins will be forgiven. Now there's multiple narrations of this hadith. Some said that whoever stands on Laylatul Qadr, whoever stands in the month of Ramadan, whoever stands at night. There's like 3 different versions of this hadith, right? So we'll just package it all into one big deal here, one package, if you will. So whether one hadith is that whoever stands in Ramadan. So what do you mean by standing in Ramadan? Well, you have to fast, you have to stand, you have to sit down. Talking about the night prayer, the Taraweeh prayers, right? Or tahajjud, which is also a night prayer, right? So that could be it. One other hadith that whoever stands on Laylatul Qadr, okay, that's when all the Muslims come out, right? People you never see before. Like, I didn't know you're Muslim, right? All these people come out, right? So on Laylatul Qadr, so there's big emphasis on Laylatul Qadr, right? Obviously, we all know we just don't miss that. And I urge you in your planning is that if you can take the day off of work on that day, for those who work and so forth, do it. That's it's worth it. Well, you don't get fired and whatever and all that stuff. Work with your boss on that one. That's worth doing it. I know what you're saying. When is Laylatul Qadr? Can you tell me? Exactly. We know there's multiple opinions on that. But if you only one night you can take off, then take off the 27th night. Right? So there's a hadith that says 27th. Yes, there's a hadith that says 23rd. Yes, there's a hadith that says 21st. But anyhow, if you can do that, then there's a strong emphasis on the 27th. Good. And there's another hadith that says whoever stands on the night, Ramadan, and Laylatul Qadr. Right? This is three different opinions. Now here the Prophet says that what? That whoever stands out of faith and hoping for reward. What does that mean? Right? So what does faith mean? Iman. Iman wa ihtisaban. The word is in Arabic. So whoever stands with Iman, what does that mean? So here to have full conviction, devotion, and concentration for the love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And that's tough. Right? Because here, what's the reward for that? That all your previous sins are going to get taken away. But that's like an amazing deal right there. So it's not for anybody. And so whoever stands when you get there for Tarawih, and you stand up there, right? Or for Laylatul Qadr, or at nighttime, only there that what? For the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hoping for that reward. Right? So meaning that this is kind of like selfish a little bit here, that I'm here at night in the Ramadan, I'm standing in the masjid because I want to get rewarded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's fine for you to have that opinion. Right? So some of the scholars said that there's multiple ways. There's some people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hoping for reward. There's some that worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fearing His punishment. And the third category is that people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now those people are rare. Right? Even though a lot of us like to say that. But either we fall in one category or the other, if you will. But here the Prophet is saying that whoever stands with just concentration, devotion for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hoping for the reward. So he connects both of them. Right? That's the reason why you're there. You're one that, not because of the Imam recites very well, and alhamdulillah he recites good and so forth, or because my friend is going to Tarawih and so forth. So you kind of have to it's hard because it's 30 days. So how do you keep yourself in check for all those days? You have to kind of remind yourself. Right? That's one thing there. And whoever does these things, fasting and nightly prayer, Laylatul Qadr, solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for clear devotion and concentration, all his sins will be forgiven. That's really tough to do, right? And also his intentions 100% for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to earn his pleasure. And that's, like I said, that's why that reward is so great, but you have to kind of remind yourself that this is the reason why I'm doing that. And that's why I kind of mentioned that you have to make sure that your concentration is there and your intentions are there. So that's this hadith here. Questions or comments on this hadith? The next one that we have here, 30 minutes. Let's see if we could push all this hadith in here. The Prophet says that on Ibn Abbas قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود الناس وكان أجود ما يكون في رمضان حين يلقاه جبريل وكان يلقاه في كل ليل من رمضان فيدارسه القرآن فلرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود بالخير من الريح المرسلة. Ibn Abbas related or narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most generous of people in general. And he used to become more generous, he used to step it up a notch in Ramadan when Jibreel met him. Angel Gabriel, used to meet him every night during Ramadan to revise the Quran and to study and revise the Quran with him. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to be more generous than the fast wind. We'll get into what does that mean. What is that talking about? So here, the Prophet was generous in general, but it was extra.